MCAT fact. And tips. Okay, so the first tip. So I mentioned this very briefly, but number one, the MCAT is graded on a curve. What that means is it's very difficult for you to assess how you're doing before you walk into that test room. Okay, so you can do practice tests online. You can do practice tests from a CD-ROM, but those are not graded on a curve, right? And so it depends. And a lot of people get intimidated by that. Question I get really often, I'll answer it now before someone asks it, because I know someone will, is how do you equate, let's say, your score, or like the number of questions you get right with your actual score on 15? And the real answer to that is you can't. But there are statistics, right? So you can look at the statistics on the AMC website, and they will actually give you the averages for all the previous years, and that's, you know, like pretty much what you're gonna get, right? So it's all about stats, okay? So just be aware of that. The point is, just do as well as you can. Just do better, just do better, just do better. Do better than him, do better than her, just do better, okay? And don't try to psych people out before the exam, that's just not friendly, okay? You don't want to make enemies at the same time. Okay, so we mentioned it was a CBT. You can go back and forth. There's another difference compared to other standardized tests. It's the guess factor, okay? So there's no penalty for guessing. On the SAT, you get a question wrong, you lose marks, right? In the MCAT, you get a question wrong, you just don't get marks. What that means is if you leave any blank answers, that's a pretty bad mistake, right? Because you have a 25% chance of getting it right. It also means when you get that 5-minute drill at the end of your section, make sure that everything has an answer, okay? So that's pretty important. This one I love, so this is a great stat. Okay, so good reading skills. Are crucial. Even for science-based passages, okay? So here's some stats I'm going to throw out at you. So they did a survey, biology, humanities majors, on all sections, so physical sciences, verbal, the writing sample, and the biological sciences. I'm going to give you their averages. And so like this is, it's kind of an informal survey, okay? So just take it for what it is. Physics here, bio got 8, humanities 8.4. Okay. Verbal reasoning, 7.8 average for the bio majors, and 9.1 for the for the humanities majors. That doesn't come as a surprise. Writing, well, I mean that's what they do, right? They just read essays all day, right? So here, O, not 0, but O, and P. So LMNOP. So it's not that different, right? Here's what's surprising. Biology, 8.5 average. Humanities, 8.7. 8.7? They scored higher than the bio students, right? All that means is they know how to read better. They know how to take what's important from the passage and apply it to the question. They know how to skim. They know how to actively read. Their brains don't shut down when it gets too verbose, okay? So the reading, the inferences that you have to make from the passages are very important, because a lot of time it's not in there. You have to deduce it, right? So that's a skill that humanities majors are taught formally in university, okay? So just make sure you read a lot, okay? So make sure you read. It's very important. Get a copy of the Wall Street Journal, actively read through it, take summaries of each paragraph, right? Get your mind awake. Fourth fact, most test takers take it a second time. Okay, not necessarily because they did poorly, because they feel they want a more competitive score, and that's okay, right? But we already talked about that. Just make sure you give yourself enough advance notice if you should want that. If you're in your final year of study and you're writing your MCAT, just make sure you do really damn well, okay? And that leads us to the fifth point. Okay, most who score well. Okay, so I'm throwing words out like most. I don't have percentages. These are just observations we made. So most who score well study for about 250 to 300 hours. Okay, it's a lot of time. So don't think you can do this a week in advance. Don't think you can do it a month in advance. Okay? So you have to give yourself enough time, and you have to give yourself the discipline required to log in those hours. It's no mystery, right? So you give it the time, you will improve, right? As long as you're organized and disciplined. Okay? So are there any questions about these? Facts, factoids, tips? Okay. So just be aware of that stuff. So the next question is, well, what do you do there during these 300 hours? So do you just Google all the topics you see on the AMC website? Not recommended. Okay, although you can, I don't think it's organized enough. So there are certain methods to prepare for this. And it's basically just answering the question, how am I going to spend these 300 hours or so studying? Okay, so let's have a quick brainstorming session. So I want you to, preparation methods. So just throw them out, just yell them out. If ever you think of a good way to study for an exam, particularly the MCAT, just blurt it out.
Start early.
Sorry?
Start early.
Yeah, but I want concrete methods.
Oh.
Like,
Organization.
okay, so good, organization. What else? Let's talk about concrete materials. Like, where are you going to get your information? Sorry? From? From who? Okay, yeah, if you can get notes from a friend. Notes from schools, yeah, excellent. Because a lot of you may already know someone who's taken a course on the MCAT. You can get their notebook, great. Just your head, right? What else?
Prep courses.
Sorry?
Prep courses.
Prep courses, yeah. You were going to say something?
Yeah, exam. Or practice.
Absolutely. So, okay, so practice tests. Thank you. Books, okay? Yes, books are an excellent way to study for any exam, right? So there's a lot of books out there, okay? So you can go to Chapters. They have books, Cracking the GMAT. You see they have the Princeton Review books. They have some other companies I won't mention right now. So basically, the books are a great way. And if you find that your type of personality is that you're very driven and self-taught, then this is probably the best way to go about it. And when we say books, we don't mean like little notebooks. We mean they're about like 5,000 pages of books, okay? So they come in like volumes, okay? Because there's a lot of info, okay? So you're going to get books. You're going to do practice tests. And this is the most important thing. Someone I knew a long time ago, she had prepared, I think, a month in advance. And I was like, I was warning her 6 months in advance. And she's like, no, a month in advance, started preparing for it. By the time she wrote her MCAT, she had written 2 practice tests. I'm not going to finish this story, so as not to discourage you. But the whole point is that there are countless practice tests. There's at least, like, there's over 20, there's over 30 practice tests that you can get from various sources. Do them all. Do them all. Okay, 20 practice tests, fine. It takes a lot of time, I don't care. If you want my opinion, the best way you're going to do on this exam is by doing a lot of practice tests and reading your materials. Okay? Anything else? Any other ideas? Newspaper, yeah, sure. Let's say articles. This is for the writing samples and the verbal reasoning. Yeah. Okay. Unfortunately, like the matrix type of plug into your brain and download information isn't available yet, so that's not going to go on the list just yet. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about is the prep courses. So, for example, the Princeton Review, we offer courses, we offer private tutoring and classroom courses, okay? And there's a few reasons why they're very beneficial, okay? So one of them is it gives you structure. If you feel as though you're all alone in this world and this MCAT is a huge giant and it's intimidating, at least what the structure does is it gives you a syllabus, gives you deadlines, it gives you homework, we provide all the materials, right? And so you at least have a guide to guide you. Okay, so you're not like alone on this. You don't have to worry about what do I need to study. You just need to study. Okay, so there's the structure, there's the learning style. So learning style. Well, I'm assuming that all of you here come from McGill. Is that right? I guess this is a safe assumption. So you want to learn something, you go to school. This is what we're used to. This is what we've been doing since we were toddlers, right? So we're used to the classroom setting. We're used to the format of the classes and the homework and the discipline. So very often it accommodates what our expectations are and what we're used to. So besides learning style, there are, hey, look, other students. As I mentioned before, when you're doing your research for your current events, do it in groups. Share your knowledge, share your information, teach each other, okay? So in the classrooms, you always get these questions, and they're always great questions, and so you learn a lot from that, okay? Yeah?
How many students are there in a class, like in the classroom teaching?
Yeah, we actually limit our classroom sizes. For the Princeton Review in Montreal, it depends on what time of the year. In January, they tend to be about 10 to 15 students. In the summertime, the classes, the early summer classes, which start around May, could get pretty big. By big, I mean 25, so not that big, not as big as McGill classes, okay? Just relatively compared to the winter. So there's about 25 students per class, so you still get to know everyone, you still get to form your groups, you study groups and you socialize, you meet a lot of people. At the end it's all tears because you'll run into these guys. So it is a good environment, and the classes towards the end of the summer tend to be a bit smaller because most people like doing the MCAT as early as possible. Okay, so the last point here that we could make is, what are we saying here? Oh yeah, instructors. Forgot myself. Right, so instructors, it's a way to have a trained human being who is specialized in this to monitor your progress, to monitor your weaknesses and your strengths, to comment on those, and to guide you as you go along. So this is one of the best resources that we have. All the material is conveyed by your instructors in a very clear and concise way. And they're all we are all highly qualified, and we pass certifications. We have the most comprehensive training program on the market. Okay, so to talk about the what are the materials that we provide? Okay, so there's over 4,300 pages of materials that are included in the course. So we give them all to you. You don't need to, again, you don't need to worry about what to study, you just need to study it. So besides that, the actual classrooms, there are about 105 hours of classroom time. And on top of that, you have 20 hours of office hours. Okay, so this is very competitive. There's not many companies who provide this level of service, this volume of instruction. So basically, you're in good hands, and so this is most of it. The practice tests are